In this next example, we're going to use our own images instead of the AI images to move the fashion onto the model. So here I have my model in their environment, and here I have what's called a lay flat. A lay flat is when the garment is placed on a white background, evenly lit and photographed from above. And this is unfortunately or fortunately what most catalog photography, according to our industry advisors, is becoming. And when you see environmental shoots, it's usually video, but even still images now can be mapped to video using AI. So here's our reference image, and here's the subject. So I've gone ahead and used the same technique as the last lab. I've just simply selected with the object selection tool. You can refine the selection if it doesn't work great for you by using any of the other selection tools. But this one worked pretty well. And then I'm going to use this time the generative fill again. But this time I'm going to choose this little icon, which means I want to select a reference image. And I'm going to choose the image, the shirt here. It's loading now. And then there are going to be some things to experiment with, which you might want to try the different things. But I'm going to try, if you choose the whole image, it'll bring in the background, I believe. I'm just going to choose the object, and it sees the object easily against the white background. I can place into the selected area, or I can swap the selected area. I want to try both. I'm going to first choose place into the selected area and hit return. And then hit, and then hit generate when you're ready. So it should automatically use and load my reference image. And you're going to be super freaked out at how well it does. I'm going to zoom in. It looks pretty well blended, I have to say. They even kind of turned up the sleeve. I'm going to zoom out here, and the colors aren't quite right. If I turn it on and off, you can see that it's quite a bit more green than the rest of the image. And the rest of the image is quite saturated. I might actually do some adjustments just to the background image, like desaturate it a little bit. And this image here, I might want to add also a hue saturation adjustment if I want to shift the color. I'm going to clip it here onto just this image. You can see I can shift the color, but see how it kind of takes the whole outline. So you would have to refine that a bit. I'll go ahead and delete that. But I could also add a curve. And in this area, and lighten and darken, I'm going to clip. But you see it does add the outline, so it's not totally perfect, right? So if I want to add a little more red, it does kind of bleed onto the edges of the image, but I'm telling you, I don't think that's long for this world. I think that, this will continue to refine, and then you can manipulate the mask if you would like. So I could try to select this new subject here by clicking and then selecting the inverse and adding it to this mask to delete the correction. And it worked a little bit, but not quite the whole thing. I still have this strange kind of outline that I'm working with. So I might have to go in and do some cleanup. So it's a good thing you're not relying on 100% AI. You have some skill to go in and do some cleanup on the edges of this image. Oh, I see what's going on here. That's interesting. It blended it, but it didn't create this fill. So it almost feels like I'm kind of stuck with this image as is, without the adjustments. So instead of doing an adjustment on each layer, it looks like I have to kind of do adjustments on the whole thing first, like this. And then, Yeah, and then maybe mask out the adjustment. So if I wanted her face to be, still a little more saturated, I could add it back with a little bit more opacity and add some of the saturation back here. And same with the image. I could paint it with a big brush to add back the saturation where I wanted. Okay, so that's pretty interesting. Let's try the other algorithm where instead of paste into, it just pastes on top of. So I'm going to go ahead and throw all this away. I'm going to go ahead and select the subject and choose generative fill, load my reference image as a lay flat. It's loading here. I want the object and I want to swap the selected area. Let's see how that works. Maybe that will be better. Maybe that will allow us to have a tighter selection when we go to make adjustment layer modifications. That seemed to work well too. If I command click on it, it's still not super tight. It's still selecting the whole image. But it looks like at least I can roll over this and make a selection here and select my lasso tool or select my brush here and subtract. And I can subtract some of the selection so that I can refine. And I need to really use my Wacom tablet to do a nicer job selecting here. And I could probably change the color of this sweater with a careful selection like this. But you just want to go in and really zoom in and check your work. And with a mouse, it's definitely more challenging than with the Wacom tablet. So good. That's a nice selection. I'm going to go ahead and convert it to a selection. And I just want to kind of play with a little bit of the hue saturation and clip it just to that in that top layer, and that gives me a little more control. Okay. Although I did like the green better. But there you go. So those are the two algorithms. Choose the one that you like the best. Try them both.